Primetime local news, serving the Lakeland and Midwest regions.
Hello and welcome to Primetime Local News. I'm Callum Hawker and thank you for joining us. Policing has become increasingly challenging. Toxic drugs can be found in the smallest Saskatchewan communities, and RCMP are having to deal with the fallout from that. Our Leanne Sanders talked to Constable Melanie Flynn with Lloydminster RCMP about this issue and what is happening in our area.
I'm talking to Constable Melanie Flynn with the RCMP in Lloydminster, just about the successes from the past year and what we're looking at going forward into 2024. Thanks for joining me. Constable Flynn, what are some of the highlights that you were involved with the force this year?
We hosted 2 town halls this year, one in April and one in the fall, hearing from the city residents like concerns, some concerns around kind of larger social issues, as well as traffic enforcement in some problematic traffic zone areas. So we outlined our annual priorities from those consultations for 2023. So this year, our annual priorities were traffic enforcement, crime reduction, as well as community wellness. Yeah, so in some of our highlights or projects, I guess, from this year, in regards to traffic enforcement, we've done several check stops throughout the city, continuous school zone patrols. So you may have seen the police cars in the school zones during school zone hours. And then lots of impaired driving enforcement stops resulting in several impaired driving investigations. So taking like those unsafe drivers off the road. In regards to crime reduction, during the summer, we did see the Lloydminster RCMP General Investigations Section team up with the crime reduction team and general duty officers to conduct a project that was targeting like drug trafficking, drug enforcement, prolific offenders, and executing some outstanding arrests for warrants, so people on warrants. And that project was a successful one.
When we talk about the bigger social issues that Lloydminster is facing, how is the RCMP helping with those?
Yeah, so the RCMP, in regards to community involvement and sitting on some of those committees that are tackling some of those larger societal issues, that's going to continue. So in 2023, we did participate in some of those consultations as well. I know myself as the community policing officer attended a lot of meetings, including the Lloydminster and Area Drug Strategy Committee meetings. Those were monthly meetings that I was able to attend and hear some concerns and put forward some initiatives. Like the community is doing a lot of great work around initiatives to kind of support some of those societal issues, right? This year, in regards to community events, we did participate in different ones across the city throughout the year, including food drives and toy drives to support the local like Olive Tree and Salvation Army in regards to food shortages and food crisis that we're kind of seeing, to support those organizations. So just one to kind of talk about was our one we just hosted here in December, the first responders kickoff to Christmas food and toy drive, where we actually raised over 5,000 pounds in food, and not including toys. And then there was a lot of toys on top of that. So all those great donations from the city and the residents within the city, those all go to the Olive Tree and Salvation Army. So
what would you say the Lloydminster RCMP will be focusing on the most going into 2024?
We did have some recruitment events and recruitment initiatives throughout the year of 2023 as well. We have seen some successful applicants join the RCMP from some of those recruitment events. And in February, we did host a youth camp, an RCMP youth camp here locally. So with partnership from the Lloyd and Area Drug Strategy, the Youth Council, the Lloyd Youth Council kids, the school boards. We were able to pull off the youth camp, and we had 25 participants come through. And the RCMP were able to kind of expose the youth to what it would be like having a career within the RCMP. So we're hoping to do a few more of those projects in 2024 just to promote the RCMP as a career option for kids. And it also, I think some of those camps and they build resiliency within kids as well, right? And they bring the community together to put forth something for the kids to stay busy at during February break or April break. So we're hoping to see more of those, and we're hoping to host one more of those in 2024.
In terms of making things better overall for the community in 2024, what will the RCMP be doing specifically?
In regards to some of those larger societal concerns that came up, we do sit on a lot of interagency networking hubs, like our hub team here in Lloydminster. And so we can work kind of, alongside some of those nonprofit agencies and, put a spin on, we're not just out there to enforce, we're out there to help solve problems too, as like within the community, right? So.
Thank you very much for your time and for updating me on what has been going on and what is to come in 2024 for Lloydminster RCMP, and I appreciate it. Have a great day.
The Interval Home Society does incredible work in the city to help women and children in need. A lot of exciting things have happened this year that will carry over to 2024. Abby St. John sat down with Angela Rooks-Trotzik to talk about the year and what they have in store for 2024.
I'm joined here today by Angela Rooks-Trotzik with the Interval Home Society here in Lloydminster. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
Now, today we are going to be talking about 2023 as a whole for the Interval Society, Interval Home Society. And I would like to start with what were your guys' biggest accomplishments for this year going into 2023?
Yeah, well, I would say our first major accomplishment was the conceptual design process for Project Hope, which Project Hope is the emergency shelter / transitional housing facility that we will be building at some point once we get through the whole process of design to replace our existing emergency shelter and existing second stage shelter. So we've been at this for, many years trying to get to this point. So it was really excited to see what the building could look like and how we could support people within the walls of this new facility. So it was really exciting to see that come to fruition.
And is that the building by the old fire station, or where is it located?
No, so our existing emergency shelter is on the north end of town. Can't obviously give you the exact directions,
yes.
But the new building will be on the old Martin Brown school site. So we own that land there. There's we're on the northeast corner of that parcel. So that's where we'll be in the future.
That's fantastic, and it's very exciting, and especially because you guys do so much for people who really do need your guys' services, which is fantastic. Now, what did that mean for you guys to be able to actually finally get that new location?
Yeah, well, getting the land was a big milestone. To become landowners, I mean, we own all of our facilities outright, so that's been long before I came on the picture, but to be able to purchase that land, it just meant one step forward, major step forward, in how we would be able to conceptualize the future of the Lloydminster Interval Home Society's emergency shelter in second stage.
Now, what are some things that you can take away from this year as a whole?
I think just perseverance, right? Like, we've had lots of challenges since COVID and post-COVID, and I mean, so has many other people, and as much as I'm sick of saying we're still recovering from COVID, we are. So just the resilience and perseverance that Interval Home staff have shown, and we managed to be successful through all the challenges that we experience.
Now we're heading into the new year very shortly. Now, are there any changes that you think that needs to be made for 2024?
Well, one of our biggest challenges right now is the lack of increased governmental funding, which we do receive government funding for a portion of our residential-based services. And it's just, we haven't had an increase for operations since 2008 and wages since 2014-15. So we're working on 2003 expenses with a 2008 budget. So that's been our major challenge. We are working with both provinces to try to make that a reality. So I would say that would be our main focus for 2024, is really more advocacy and educating the communities that we serve about our successes, but also our challenges. So we're hoping to be able to announce a funding increase sometime in 2024.
And on top of that, for the last question, are there any other goals, including that for 2024, whether it be small, large, medium, any kind of goals that you may have for the next year?
I think moving on to the next phase of design for Project Hope, which would be detailed design. So that would be one giant leap forward for our project. And after that, we look at raising funds to actually build that project. So although we're not able to build right now, we're still really excited about having that concept and just that one step closer. But we'd like to take one more step forward and be able to get through design detail and that design process.
Well, it seems like 2024 is going to be a great year for the Interval Home Society because it's such a vital part of this community, and I know that you guys do rely heavily on community support, and it shows, and a lot of you guys do get a lot of that community support, which is amazing, and everything that you guys do for the city. I hope it works out with the government and you guys get that funding that you guys desperately deserve. So thank you so much for joining me today, and I wish you the best of luck for the new year.
Thank you.
We'll have more primetime local news after the break.
Furniture set and design supplied by Furniture Gallery, downtown Lloydminster.
The Lloydminster Catholic School Division has another year in the books with loads of changes throughout the year. With Holy Rosary's constant upgrades and their success of their sports teams, our Callan Dunlop spoke with LCSD's Director of Education for more.
Today I'm joined by Nigel McCarthy, who is the Director of Education for the Lloydminster Catholic School Division. Thank you so much for coming down to the station today.
Well, thank you for welcoming us to talk about Christmas and about what's happening at LCSD.
Yeah, we want to fully recap the whole year, actually. We want to just 2023 in review. That's kind of what we're here for today. So if you want to start by talking to me about kind of what are some of the big things that happened for the Catholic School Division this year.
Well, certainly opening Holy Rosary and having our new programming as well as the extension was a big moment for us as a school division, and getting to host folks from across the province to usher in a new era at our high school was very rewarding. So too was actually getting to host a conference of trustees from across the province where everyone gathered in Lloydminster and got to learn a little bit about what we do here that's unique and distinct in our city and how that might guide the future.
I'd like to touch on kind of your personal favorite moment of the year, if you could narrow it down and try and pick one.
Well, there's so many wonderful moments when you're a director of education. You get to be there for the joy of all sorts of occasions, but I think one of my favorite moments is to go with our trustees and to meet every child in kindergarten. There's more than 230 students that we welcome, and we bring the gift of a book every year to those children, but get to see and to read to them and to listen to them and what their hopes and their dreams are in their first months of school. It's extraordinarily rewarding, and it's something that our trustees will continue to do in the future.
What are some things that you've noticed in this year compared to years in the past, and just on how the school year has run?
Well, I think every school year is unique and distinct. You know, as we see the progression of technology and the progression of the career lives that young people are moving into, education changes and continues to evolve. So whether it's, you know, programs in biomechanics that start to use AI, and whether it's looking at new brain research and how we would better teach reading, these are the things that excite us about the future and about the possibility of, you know, of bringing people closer together and giving them more fulfilling lives through education.
I'd like to touch on that future in 2024 specifically. What is kind of on the horizon for the Lloyd Catholic School Division in 2024?
Well, you know, we'll have a beautiful springtime. We look forward to the class of 2024 graduating. These are students that came to us 13 years ago and have walked through a really extraordinary time in education. We think we've set them up well for the next stage in their life. But, you know, as we look forward into 2024, you know, we have basketball ahead of us. We have sport and arts and, you know, film nights and plays and spring band concerts. You know, it's what you can give to children as the opportunity for them to stand up and be recognized for their talents and watch them evolve their passions.
I'd like to touch on the sports side of things. The Holy Rosary Raiders football team recently won their Tier 3 Alberta Bowl. It's such a great football program and just a lot of great sports running through the Catholic School Division, if you want to touch on the sports side of things.
Well, and not to be forgotten was the same weekend our girls brought home silver provincially as well. The Raiders football won their second provincial championship in a row. And as we grow as a school, you know, our athletics continues to be a defining factor of how students pursue success. And it's not just athletics, it's arts, it's academics. And these are the foundations for how we move forward and develop that ethical sense, that spiritual sense that gives you a fulfilling life after you leave school.
Lastly, I just want to touch on kind of what you are most hopeful for yourself just entering into the new year with just kind of everything going on in the world.
Well, you know, I think at Christmas we all look for peace on earth. And I think we're called to ask ourselves each day, how do we promote that peace with the peace and joy of our classrooms and in what we teach children? Because they will lead us in the future. And what our teachers do and our whole staff does every day is unique and is caring and really puts students at the center of education. So we're hopeful for that future as we build each day.
All right, perfect. That is all the time that we have today. Thank you so much again for coming down to the station to talk about this.
Well, we wish you a very Merry Christmas, and we're also very thankful to PTLN and to everyone here for continuing to tell the stories of what's good in schools and what education is doing in the city of Lloydminster. We're
Awesome.
thankful for your partnership.
Well, thank you.
And have a Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you too.
That's all for news. Sports is next, but first, here's a look at your closing market.
Today's oil prices are brought to you by First General Services.
The Holy Rosary Raiders had an outstanding 2022, coming off of winning the Wheatland Football League and their Tier 3 Provincials Alberta Bowl. They hope to repeat with some new and old personnel and had another outstanding year in 2023. Our Thomas Wildman has more.
Today I'm joined by Vince Oreo, the head coach of the Holy Rosary Raiders football team. He's here today to talk about their year as a whole, and thank you so much for being with me today, Vince, and for letting me come out to all of your games and cover your team throughout this whole year.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me, and we appreciate the coverage throughout the year.
All right, Vince, so let's start at the beginning of of 2023. You guys were coming off of winning your first Alberta Bowl. You guys were unsuccessful the year before, but made it all the way there. Won the provincial championship. Of course, you guys had a bunch of guys moving on. So talk to me about the training camp between like January and into the spring and summer there, and just preparing the team for this coming up, for the season that you guys had this past few months here.
Right. So, I mean, it's difficult to work throughout the winter. There are, high school athletic rules that limit when you can actually be with your team. So May 1st is actually when we can start working with kids. So we ran about a month-long spring camp and had a jamboree just to kind of see, where our kids were at and where we had to focus some attention. Then you give them the summer off and you come back. August 16th is the first official day we can start. And we liked our group. We knew that we didn't have a lot of grade 12s, but we knew that we were going to be grade 11 heavy with a lot of athletes. And we started the season really well. We had some tough exhibition games, and kids learned a lot in those, and it carried us through into our league play.
And so let's talk about the Wheatland Football League. You guys are coming in as the champions of the league. And I know that at the end it wasn't the greatest finish, but just overall the regular season. Talk to me about that, and then the playoffs and how the team performed in a very competitive league here, as there's lots of great teams in the Lakeland area.
Yeah, so I mean the month of September was good for us. We won our first 2 league games against Cold Lake and St. Paul. Then we went into October, played Bonneville a couple of times and Wainwright and had a bye. Wasn't the toughest schedule, and I think that actually hurt us going into November into our league playoffs. We had some 50-0 blowouts, and just doesn't do a lot to keep the kids motivated. So, taking us into the league final against a tough St. Paul team, and we had beat them 50-3 the first time we played them. So it was hard to get the kids focused and get them to believe that St. Paul was going to be a legitimate opponent in the league final. They came in really well prepared, and we had a hard time moving the ball. And at the end of the day, we didn't win that football game, but we learned a lot in that game.
And so with coming out of the league finals, not with the championship, but being able to make provincials and still being able to play football, you were able to talk to me about rallying the team and being able to compete very well at the Tier 3 provincials, as of course you guys had an excellent run during the provincials this year.
Yeah, I mean it's a good group, and they're a fairly motivated group, and after losing the league final, they wanted to prove to people that that's not the team that they were. They were a championship team. So we went into provincials, played Whitecourt team, and handled them pretty easily, 64-0. And then we went into our Drawson, and our Drawson was a Tier 4 team playing in Division 3 in Edmonton, but they chose to opt up to Tier 3 to play us rather than going up north to play Sexsmith. So we were able to use that a bit as a motivator for our kids, saying, these guys picked you. They thought you were the easiest path to provincial final, and our kids. They wanted to prove them wrong, and so we were able to beat that team. I think it was 36-0. Wasn't the easiest game we had all year, but our kids were really well prepared and able to shut down anything they tried to throw at us. And then, of course, going into provincial final, playing a Cardston team, we knew they were going to be tough, very athletic. The interesting thing with that is Cardston's got a long history of being competitive. They've got lots of provincial championships, and they're always in the mix. So to beat a legitimate team in the province with a strong history is a big step for our program.
And one really great thing about your guys' program, and of course you've been to the Alberta Bowl finals 3 years in a row here, got 2 championships, and you mentioned that your team was very grade 11 heavy. So coming up this season, talk to me about the excitement for you and the coaching staff and all the players that are going to be around once that training camp comes in this upcoming 2024 May, about how good this team could be for your possibly 4th run here and an excellent program here.
Yeah, I mean, we like the kids coming back, and we look around the Bantam teams and we see that there's some solid athletes there. We're excited to get a few of those kids. Our team's got a strong history of being in the final. This is actually our 10th year in a row being in provincial final. We've won 3. We've lost some close ones, 1 blowout, maybe 2 along the way, but those are all learning experiences. So we just want to keep that tradition going and keep playing with excellence and strive our kids to be the best football players they can be and come together as a team. So we have a lot of grade 11s moving into grade 12 next year, so we'll have a lot of senior players. It'll be a good mix of experience and youth, and I think we'll be strong again.
And one other thing that your program has been showing, at least throughout these past few years, is that some of your really great grade 12s have gone on to play some post-secondary football. So just, I know we're plenty early and those kids need to finish up high school here, but just some of those kids that have been at least been questioned, whether it's the teams in Edmonton or Saskatoon or any of the universities that have been looking and maybe giving them some calls so far here to finish out after the season.
So because it is a fairly small grade 12 group, we're only graduating 7. I think there's 3 or 4 that have aspirations of going on playing post-secondary football. So there's opportunities in Saskatoon and in Edmonton, like you say, some junior teams and university programs, and they'd be lucky to have the kids that are interested in moving on.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Vince, and congratulations to you guys once again on another kind of fantastic Alberta Bowl win, and we will definitely be covering you once you guys start up the spring training in May, and of course we'll have lots more Holy Rosary football throughout the rest of next year in 2024.
Now, let's look at your agriculture prices. A little look ahead at the forecast over the next few days. Saturday, it's going to stay partly sunny, which is nice. High of 2, low of -5. Sunday, 40% chance of a little shower. High of 2, low of -3. And then on Monday, getting a little colder, seeing some more clouds. Low of -6, high of -1. That's all the time we have for you from Primetime Local News. Have a happy and safe New Year, everybody.